day, YouTubers. This time we're gonna finish or continue the reloading process. This time we're gonna be loading the powder and seating the bullets on the cases using the Reading match competition seating dice. This is the one that comes with the graduated measurements on the top. Most of my equipment it is RCBS, but I prefer the Reading dice. I previously used the RCBS reloading dice, but I was not using the competition style, so I have no experience with those. However, I would highly recommend you to go for the Reading competition style for that. Before I started this reloading process, I already set up my dice. Reading, you have to lift up the arm, touch the bottom, and then pull the arm down, and then open it like 1/4. Every die is going to be different. I would highly recommend you to check the specification for setting your dice. RCBS used to be different than this one, but I forgot already. It's not the end of the world. The scale, it's been previously 0, so I don't want any accident. I don't want any overloads or any low charge on my cases. So feel free to... we're going to be doing the reloading process. I have a few of them. I'm not going to be load all of them at the same time. You guys are going to bore you to death. At the same time, I'm going to be talking about 17, I believe, 17 points that I gathered from several manuals and reloading websites and places that I want you to keep in mind when reloading your ammunition for safety. So bear with me. Regularly, I do load my ammo way faster than this, but because I'm going to be trying to explain for the newbies, if you are professional reloading, this is going to be kind of done for you. But if you might even learn something from me, because you might differ from me. So I'm more than glad to learn something if you do it differently than I do. Please leave your comments below. The first thing you're going to know, you're going to have to throw the powder. Try to keep your dispenser at least 50%, so it's going to keep your load amount more uniform. If you go below, it's going to be not going to be really consistent. Some powders are going to be easier to dispense, some others are going to be harder. I use a IMR 3031 and 4064, but you know, everybody have their own preference for powders. That's like cars. So each final load, the most important part of all the reloading process is that each final load is going to be completely different. Even though we might have the same rifle, barrels most likely will differ among brands because of their length, their internal twist, their internal configuration. Is going to be using the 5R military, well known, versus the 6R civilian, or you know, it's just a different kind. Those are the main reasons that it's going to be make a big difference on your optimum powder charge test, regardless that it's going to be the same load. I like to run a string of 7 shots. As you can see, I have the mark by the load. This is going to be the 40.3. I previously have several loads that I'm going to be making a difference. When you shot 7 shots in the same hole, it is easier to spot the 2 flyers that we all tend to have because the wind moved, or because you jerked the trigger, or whatever reason. You know, I do not consider myself an expert. Mostly when I spent like 2 months or like a month without doing any target shooting for a while, I kind of noticed that my skills, they really perish a lot. Target shooting or shooting, whatever you want to call it, it is a very, very perishable skills. I have to try to keep up by doing dry fire. But even though I do dry fire, it doesn't really help you to compensate or square up against the recoil. I almost got it, what I wanted. I'm just using the trickle for the last few grains till it's what I want it to be. The most important aspect when you're loading your powder and seating bullets, make sure the scale it is properly 0. Otherwise you run into low loads of powder, or you might be overloading. If you watch the Spanish video, I know you will not understand, the majority of you, but I kind of did a couple of spillings. I left some of the grains fell from the trickler on the scale plate, and it was kind of would have been dangerous because it kind of messed up the whole powder test. The powder weight. And then you just put it over there on the chair, you hold it, you try to present it as straight as possible. I kind of like to play with the seating on the top. Depending on the bullet that you're going to be using, they all are going to differ into the seating depth or the cartridge overall length. It is mostly related to the tip, what it's called by the military is the knee plat. They will have variations between 0.005 up to 0.015, 5 of 1,000 or 15th of 1,000. When you're gonna be reloading, advanced reloading, okay, I got 14 difference. Just gonna put it back here. And since I got the competition, I'll just go 14 behind. There you go. And then it's going to be according to specification. 2.800 semi specification. Beautiful, on target. That's going to be the first load. I always try to keep my reloading station. Sometimes when I make any mistake, I can use just the card and broom it all over and can reload it. It's already measured, so it's not the end of the world. I can rock on with it. Some people, they prefer to use the electronic scale weights. I prefer the metal ones. The electronics are way more subject than this one to electronics around them because the magnets, they are way more sensitive of any draft, any wind draft. I have to move this reloading station because I got the AC units over there and I have it previously on that direction, but I have to move it because it was moving even the scale regardless. So you gotta be careful. When you start your load data as described at your manual, I'm using the spear because this is the kind of bullet that I'm gonna be using. I always, on my first load, I started making a difference of 0.5 grains. So I make jumps of 0.5 difference among them. That's for the first battery. For the second battery that I wanna do like a more precise accuracy search, I'm gonna make a 0.2 or 0.3. Some people, some literature, they say you can make a 0.1 grain difference, but to me that's absurd because regardless of the scale, the digital or this one, the mechanic ones you're gonna be using, they all have a, oh, this is taking too long. They have a tendency to, what is it called? May fail for a 0.1 difference, you know, so it's 0.1 is just absurd to me. I'm not gonna go to that level of details. I know some match Olympic shooters, they do load with that difference, but that's not my case. As long as I can get one MOA, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it. So which is approximately a 1 inch at 100 yards. It's a little bit more than that, but I'm happy with it. I'm not really trying to. For target shooting, fun with friends, and hunting occasionally, it's just more than enough for me. Just remember to never exceed the maximum load. For example, if you're gonna be loading for a 20-inch barrel, expect your maximum load to be way higher. But if you're gonna be reloading for a 26 inches a barrel, your maximum load is gonna show immediately. You're gonna see pressure signs way faster than your 20-inch barrel. That one is good to go. Because the longer the barrel, the more it's gonna build up gas. You just insert your case, you insert your bullet. I like to set it as straight as possible. I like to roll back because of the knee plat difference that I always experience regardless of how many times I might lock this. It is just unpredictable. But you know, you can do it at your own pace. I mess with that. The majority of the people don't mess with this bullet sitting. They only set it and that's it. 13 difference. 1, 2, 3. And I know that one is going to be already perfectly sitting to the complete perfect cartridge overall length that 308 requires. Next load. If you're going to be using a NATO ammunition or military ammunition, make sure you start your load 15% of the minimum load described by your manual or the online website that you might be copying from. Make sure it's really authentic, not somebody who was kind of a brain fart and then you're going to be the one putting your face next to that explosion. Because the military ammunition have the thicker walls, so it's going to generate higher pressures when reloading. Yes, it will save you on a powder, but it's gonna take an extra process on the primer pocket and other things. There are a lot of versatile powders over there. The most well-known that you can use for 308 or 5.56 223 is gonna be the Varget, which a lot of people are die-hard for those. Reloader 15, IMR 4895. I use IMR 3031 and IMR 4064, but you know, because I can switch between 308 and 5.56 without having to mix any other in the same container, so I don't run into those kind of risk. But you know, it's just, that's like Chevrolet versus Ford. That's just fanatism, just loyalty. Like people, I like Varget because that's what I reload, and some people get better accuracy with those than other. I would highly recommend you to try 1 pound of one powder so you don't get stuck with an 8-pound container and it won't work with your bullets and your rifle. The majority of hunters for hunting, they use the 168 grains 308. That's pretty much good enough for deer and wild hogs. The militaries, they're gonna be using the 175 grains, the Sierra Match King. That's the one I have over there on the side. I'm gonna be reloading for that one. The 168, it is gonna be limited to the 800 yards. After 800 yards, a joke, it's just gonna drop because it will go below the transonic speed, and it's not gonna, it will just gonna start flipping around. It's not gonna be really accurate. Yes, you can take shot farther than that, but it's not really accurate. It's even dangerous. The 175 is the one well-known used by snipers, but it's really scarce at some of the stores, and it's already outmatched by the Berger bullets. So Berger, that used to be the legend. Now Berger bullets already took over, but they're way more pricier than this one. So you know, can't be the king forever. Sometimes when you are using the same bullet weight, depending on configuration, is going to be their use. This case, I'm going to be getting ready for like hunting season in November. I'm just going to load hundreds of them, go to the range, zero the rifle, get my own ballistic table, through my ballistic table, verify with atmospheric condition, and then when season is on, I'm going to be ready for it. But depending on the profile, every time you switch bullets, they all gonna have a completely different zero. They both are gonna have completely different performance on the wind, completely different tables. So you have to find the one that works the best on your rifle. All right, I got 6. Just gonna put this back. I know it's gonna be perfectly 2.800 after that. I know it's a little bit on the OCD, but it's just me. You're more than welcome to just touch these ones and you're good to go. If it makes you happy, just like the sun. This is the 168 Spear Gold Dot. This is a Spitzer bullet, and this is the 168 hollow point bow tail. They both are gonna have the same weight. However, the one on the right, it's the Spitzer bullet. You can see it's a thicker bottom. It's not the bow tail like the one on the left, which is going to be more aerodynamic. The one on the left is going to have a better performance when shooting a long range. It's going to be probably more accurate, but however, this one, the terminal ballistic, is going to be more devastating upon your target. This is the preferred one by the military. I'm sorry, by the police, because they are not going to be concerned about over penetrating any civilian innocent life on a hostile situation. This is the one on 175 grains that is used on the bottom of the Sierra by militaries, but militaries don't really worry about much about over penetration when behind there is only bad guys. It varies. They both are the same weight, different performance, different zero powder, load, everything. We're gonna pull this back to 20. Next load. One of the powders that is well known by competitors is going to be the IMR 4350. That's the one they use regardless that it's going to be changing states or location or even countries, because that's the one that is well known for being less temperature affected. However, it's harder to get over the counters because people just go and get it by big containers, and even small containers it is hard to get. IMR 4350. I would highly recommend you to check your sitting depth on your bullets when you're gonna go advance a reloading technique out of the basic semi-specification load and sitting depth, because a 308 live is gonna be around the 8,000 shots, but if you're gonna be using the 175, the bigger one, it's gonna be around the 6,000 shots. And with that wear now on your barrel throw, it's gonna change your sitting depth in order to be close to the lands and grooves. I know Class F competitive competition timer guys, they really go chasing all the time those lands and groove, and they argue, and they're always checking the sitting depth and the cartridge overall length in order to achieve the half MOA, quarter MOA results, and like really shooting way more concise than hunters and PRS shooters. I believe for 6.5 Creedmoor, which is what everybody's switching now from 308, the barrel life is going to be around the 3,000 rounds. I would check sitting depth every 700 rounds just to make sure it's not really worn out. Depending on how you run it, depending on the bullets that you're going to be using. If you're going to be using the 140s, the heaviest one, but they are lighter than that, so I don't know what your loading habits are. I do enjoy using suppressors when target shooting. I haven't used for hunting because I don't have any friends with private land. However, if you're gonna be running the, you should never run any optimum powder charge test while using suppressors, because they will increase your muzzle velocity and it's not gonna be consistent. You can use the suppressor on your rifle or whatever your hand-loaded ammunition after you finish your optimum powder charge, because they will, every time you put and take off the suppressor from your barrel, it's going to move your point of impact and it's going to increase your muzzle velocity. It's really inconsistent. Besides that, they require more care on top of your firearm. That's good to go. And yes, they also cause a more wear out on your semi-automatic platform. I'm talking about the AR-15 and your AR-10, because they have a way more returning gas into your system. If you're gonna be loading your cartridges out of specification, I would highly recommend you to use the so-called dummy rounds. Dummy rounds, it's going to be a cartridge with a bullet, but it's not going to have a primer or powder inside. That way, what you use with that, you're going to put it inside your magazine, and you're going to be able to verify if it fits in your magazine without any problem. It's going to be within the capacity of it. And then you're going to try to cycle it several times on your rifle so that it won't cost you any jams. Okay, I got 13 more. Go back 13. I regularly try to reload for 2 hours. After 2 hours, I do take breaks. I have a tendency to either do some spillings, or a couple of times I caught myself doing double charging the cases because I was getting tired. So it's quite common. I went a little bit below, it's not the end. So be careful with those. Finally, when you got to your final load, and then if you're gonna be using your hand-loaded ammunition, if you're gonna be using on the AR platform, or the, AR-15 or AR-10, or any lever action rifle, or any machine gun, or fully automatic, or a revolver, regardless of calibers, you're gonna have to do the crimping, which is gonna be a special die that you're gonna have to tighten the neck of your cartridges in order for them to withstand the harsh and strong fitting mechanism that they come. In this case, I'm gonna be reloading for a 308 bolt action, which is the one you guys see back there. So I don't really have to be concerned about crimping. But in case you might have the idea, or that's where you're planning on reloading for, keep that in mind. That's gonna be an extra step, crimping. One more time, I'm gonna share my load at the end of the whole process with some pictures, but I would highly recommend you do not copy my load. Start from the minimum load and then work yourself up with increased increments of 0.5 grains. So you're gonna be playing on the safe side. I make this video for adult people. I make these videos for responsible people, for people who have a common sense, not for people who are gonna be drinking on your workstation, or it's gonna be smoking. I got people who do that, but you know, they're adults. I'm not gonna be the preacher over them. Almost there. One more green. All right, that was it. Some people buy more expensive funnels. They cost like $100. This one is a 22 caliber up to a 50. I can get away with it. You know, it's just boils down to personal preference. If you have the money, go ahead and do it, but I'm not willing to spend that much money on just a funnel. Just make sure they do not develop any statics, because you're dealing with powder and metal, so it can be dangerous. I went 7 of them. Perfect. All right, friend, thank you so much for your time. This is all I have to share with you this time. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to my channel. If you have some questions about the way I do my process, any of the parts that I was using, if you have any comments that the way you do it and why, please leave your comments below. Thank you so much for your time. God bless you all, and God bless America.